What is going on, fam? How is everybody doing? Oh, let me tell you. You know what? Let me tell y'all something. First, just hit the subscribe button if you are new here. Please, please, please hit the like if you just came in the room. Listen, I have a hard time. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I have a hard time right now even having a conversation about everything that's going on because everybody is so in their emotions. I have never lived during a time where everybody was so into the fields. Now listen, with Obama, the Negroes were into a field. ADOS was into their fields for all of the wrong reasons. I get that. Now it looks like a lot of people done got their turn and they into the fields too. And so it's hard because everything you say, and then people still haven't gotten out of this whole thing as to where this is not a team sport, right? So like, they haven't still gotten out of this thing to where I don't have to, I'm going to like something this week and dislike something else last week. Like you all know last week, birthright citizenship. Y'all know 2018, go back and find it. I spliced up some videos there I hope to put up. I'm in favor of, been in favor of it a long time. I know a lot of people are new here. Welcome. But we have been here for a long time on this path, ADOS. And the reason you heard about it is because we've been on this path. We're happy to have you on this journey with us. But let me just say, some things is right and some things is wrong. Now, there's going to be a right hand and there's going to be a left hand. That's just how politicians work. And there's going to be a right hand that does not like you to know what the left hand is doing. So everybody is real all excited about what's going on right now with Trump and immigration. Oh, yeah, we finally, and somebody know, but people don't say Yvette was right. We dragged her through the mud, but okay, we in here now. Right? We doing it. So hey, great. But please be careful. Because what do you mean, Yvette? Please be careful. We're everybody's winning. No, the right hand is doing something. And please understand this as we go forward. Please understand that Trump is a reality TV guy. He knows how to create optics. There's really no reason at all for Dr. Phil to be a part of any of this. I don't need to see Dr. Phil outside with the head of immigration, talk about now what he did, where he come from, I don't need to see that, but this is reality TV. Because of Trump, now, I'm not saying that I don't want people get confused at this part. I'm sure Trump is remaking government. I was the first one to tell you that, listen, this is going to be an exercise in the limitations of executive power, and we're going to bump into that. But I don't need to see Dr. Phil nowhere. I don't need a reality show, and I don't need, some people are going to disagree. You can call in and disagree. You can disagree in the chat. But I also don't need to see a purge in the federal government. I don't. And you have to be very careful because the person who is telling you this the most is a billionaire from South Africa, a white one. So the person who is telling you the most that we have to get rid of government and the people in it and they have to go to work, the person that is telling you this is not somebody long before Trump. This is not somebody that you should trust just because Trump is doing this one thing, which is thing A. And you should keep this with any politician, right? I did the same thing with Obama. If he did something I liked, I said, great. If he didn't, I criticized it. You will never find a good politician. I'm just saying in terms of, hey, I like the whole kid and caboodle. It's not like going to dinner and just, there's a meal that you like. I have bought this thing I'm buying 45 times and I like it. Like I like what come with it. I like the side. I like the main. I like the little vegetable, the way they cook it. I like the little Brussels sprouts. I like the mashed potato. I like the main course. Like this is not that. And I just don't want people, I don't want you to panic and be like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. But I also don't want you to go along and get along. You should never do that. I don't care who it is. So understand before we get into it, it used to be like 25% of the federal government was ADOS. Now it's like 18, I looked up today. And it's just like, I don't even know what there is disaggregation, but we'll get into that this weekend. So if y'all gonna come to that, by all means, all that kind of stuff. But I don't understand how we are not louder about this being a problem. Right? I wonder if we have gotten into the full throttle of things where we are willing as not only worker against worker, we are willing as like to allow ourselves to be manipulated by people who have capital, super capitalists. So what am I talking about? So let me just go into here. Like, we ain't got to be here all day. A father worried about child care costs if he needs to return to the office full time for his federal government job. A mother afraid of being fired while her husband, also a federal employee, searches for a new job of his own. A national park ranger concerned that park staff already stretched thin will be stretched even further if colleagues leave openings and go unfilled. Now, let me just touch on this for just a second. There is this thing, and I don't know who, and I admit I have a bias here. As a person who has worked for the federal government in at least three different jobs, I have a bias here because I've seen how it works. And this idea that people are just sitting around eating buns or something, it reminds me of the welfare thing. And I think that thing goes because if you want to make somebody hate something, you just kind of make people think, well, you know, it's a lot of ADOS people over there. It's a lot of Negroes over there. You know, they don't know how to work or whatever. And yes, if we make up 14% and we make up 18%, here we make up more. That's more than enough reasons you should be like, you should push the brakes on this. This whole purge thing they got going on, the letter that went out that I'm going to get to, it's a problem. Like, listen, fam, let me just say this. And I'm going to get to the rest of what they're talking about here. But let me just say this. You can't walk around and tell me that, hey, Yvette, we believe in reparations, you know, and not think that like that requires more government. Government has a job to do there. You can't even say you believe in immigration enforcement and not understand that that's ICE out there to do it. Right? That is immigration officials that is in office, outside of office, at the border, in cities doing the work. Those ICE is government workers too. Did people miss that? Oh, y'all, we just have like a selective thing right now. Okay, I see. Well, it's going to get very interesting with this selective stuff. In my mind, workers should be in favor of workers. So let me just go here. Hold on a second. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Hold on. They are among the thousands of federal workers caught in limbo amid a flurry of steps taken by the Trump administration to remake and shrink the ranks of the federal workforce. With an email blast Tuesday night from the Office of Personnel Management offering employees a chance to resign with pay through September 30th, the latest source of anger and confusion as they continue to do their jobs. The emails gave those workers a February 6th deadline to decide whether they would take the buyout. Right? Is there anybody in the chat right now? You just put up a 1 if you know anybody, or if you know anybody, or you work for the federal government. If you know anybody who works for the federal government or you work for the federal government, throw up a 1, right? Because this is not, please understand something. White House incentivizes federal workers to resign. That was the article I was reading from. Please understand one thing. Sometimes we do a thing that don't make no sense. What do you mean, Yvette? Sometimes we will say, well, I don't work over there. Well, listen, first of all, are you for community? See, we got some 1s in the chat. Either you are for community or you are against it. That's it. Either we are community as ADOS or we aren't. That's it. That's it. End of story. And if you are a community, you have to worry about the people you know, the people you live near, you losing their jobs. Because if they lose their job and they lose their house, right, then all of a sudden you got all kinds of things going on. You got an empty house. You want to talk about property value. You want to talk about nobody living over there in your neighborhood. Now all kind of other stuff happens in your neighborhood. Now the people that you care about and love and they good people, they on the street, right? And I'm not talking about homeless, but you got to figure things out. We already don't have a lot. Now we got to help people figure out things, right? Who got laid off for no fault other than the fact that federal workers have been demonized. Nobody has said, understand this, I have not heard anybody say these people are ineffective. I have not heard anybody say, hey, these people aren't getting the Social Security checks out on time. I have elderly parents. They get theirs on time, same time every month. Might be a day off. And if it's a day off, my mama's, well, I don't know. The check would usually come here yesterday at midnight. I haven't seen it. And it's like, it's going to get there by like 2 or 3 o'clock. Relax. What you got to go buy? What you got to go do? what you got to go do? That the check being 12 hours late is just on you. I have never heard, hey, some of y'all, Let's talk about even the stuff that people talk about. You'll hear, and I'm not just talking about the men. That was that was talked about my own mama. But you will have men be like, I'm not on no Medicaid. Hey, what your baby mama on? I just want to know if you know that it ain't just your check that's feeding that. But let's just continue. Let's just go. People have a lot of things to say and a lot of judgments to cast, and people don't understand what their lives are built of. Immigration enforcement, we've always talked about that. Good, great. This thing right here, trash. Fork in the road. This is the letter you send out to people who have been doing work. And they don't, listen, federal workers don't have it's not like you finna make it big like in private. You can go and all of a sudden you making 150, 160, all of a sudden you making two. No. Child, you a pauper. But anyway, let me just say, I'm not saying you can't move up and you can't make six figures. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that stuff is the way it moves slow. So fork in the road. Below is the email that was sent to federal employees on January 20, 2025, presenting a deferred resignation offer. If you did not respond to that email and wish to accept the deferred resignation offer, you may do so in the following steps. Send an email to hropm.gov from the government account. Only an email from your .gov or .mil account will be accepted. Type in resign in the subject and hit send. Listen, they making it easy for you to just quit. If you don't want to, just put it in there and resign. Now, they also saying this might not even be legal. Now, this on the other side is Elon's email, apparently, and I'm going to bring it up from his biographer as well, a fork in the road. So I am not in favor of unelected people having any kind of say in what happens in the lives of people in a democracy. Because it's not even like you got appointed something and you went through government hearings. You are doing things, and you didn't go through what RFK went through today, which I watched most of that. You didn't go through what Hegseth went through a while ago. I watched most of that. Don't approve of that. But you didn't go through any of that. You're just running things because you gave money to the person who won. I don't like it. I don't like that. I don't like the globalism. I don't care what he says. I'm not a globalist. You a lie. You don't end up over here from South Africa. You don't end that. No. That's not, and now you're meddling in everybody's business. That's the definition of globalism. Well, let me go on before people with a bunch of money chop me off. Let me get my spiel off. I don't like it. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all and tell you I don't like it. I'm not gonna lie to nobody. I do not like none of this. I am extremely suspicious of all of this. Now, they got to come back to the office. The reformed federal workforce will be built around 4 pillars: return to office, performance culture, more streamlined and flexible workforce, enhanced standards of conduct. Now, there has never been something that says that these government workers are behaving badly, right? So you talk about enhanced standards of conduct, but I haven't seen a study that shows that they have been ineffective or behaving badly. You have come into this with the assumption, and the American people have accepted that assumption. I believe it's a lie. Sorry. I believe you are telling me a lie. When you came in there and you cut all of Twitter and, it still works, a bunch of Twitter, it still works fine. No, it don't. I get glitched all the time. I got a bunch of bots in my thing, in my DMs, and I got a bunch of people using the N-word, and every time you say, hey, this person used the N-word, don't nothing happen. It ain't working fine. But the government is not supposed to be viewed as a business. The government is not supposed to be for profit. The government is for the people. Business people have us confused in believing that, hey, everything would be better if it's run like a business. No, if it's run like a business, you fire everybody. You fire as many people as you can. You get rid of the human capital. You bring in H-1Bs. Pay attention to that because Trump sided with that. We're going to get to that in a second too. And you don't support the worker. Listen, stop thinking of everybody as like this is a federal employee. Like, stop doing that. This is not like, this is an American worker. Just like, even if you don't work for the government, this is an American worker, just like you're an American worker. That's it. Don't nobody want to be replaced with H-1Bs. Don't nobody want to be replaced with robots. Don't nobody want to be replaced with none of that. So this whole thing of when you got to come to work, listen, have we decided that it's more cost effective for that person to come to work? Like, what if You sold some of that DC property, which is very high value, and it went back to the government for services for the people. Maybe if they were able to stay home, right? Like this would be cost efficient. I haven't seen any cost efficiency studies. I have just seen one elected person tell the other elected person that I'm going to run something called Doge and we're going to have efficiency. Didn't elect you. And I certainly didn't elect you to lay off a bunch of American workers. Stop thinking about it. Oh, this is federal government. Hey, and stop being jealous because you don't get to work at home. Like, if you can work or do some kind of hybrid situation and it's effective, right? And we don't lose any kind of capacity when it's not in a situation where you're not serving the American people. Who says this? Like, I honestly believe, this is me, I believe that there is something about the people at the very top, right, who just have this belief that sometimes that their workers don't deserve to be at home. Like, what are they doing? And even if those workers make decent money, like, what are they doing? Why are they home? I can't yell at them if they're not. Now, even if they're meeting all of their metrics, right? I can't yell at them if they're not here. Like, I can't wait till tomorrow if you yell at why they can't stay at home? Because I'm going to go to the next thing. But let me just say something. I subscribe. I'm not going to say the name of it, but there's a email. I think it goes out every Sunday. I subscribe to. And the email is just based on the workspaces that people set up who work from home. These is hundreds and hundreds of people who work from home, and it's extremely effective people, engineers in tech, and it just shows what their workspaces look like. The whole email newsletter is just people in their workspaces and the products that they have, hardware and software that they have at their desk to make them, to make them efficient, right? That's it. There's a whole newsletter based on how to set up and different people's workstations, and you're going to tell me that all of a sudden when a government worker does it, it's less efficient because they're doing it. No, that's not what's going on here. Not everybody, because a lot of people know, but like people are being played with this. We open our inbox. This is what government workers do. We open our inbox and it's just a parade of terrible announcements, making our jobs harder, said Rachel, who works in the Department of Health and Human Services Office of the Secretary, and spoke on the condition that only her middle name was used to avoid retribution. I'm afraid we're going to lose. Y'all just told her middle name. Why'd you just say her name was Rachel? I'm afraid we're going to lose all of our best workers, she said. There just won't be the institutional knowledge we need to keep. And people don't understand that government, you do need that institutional knowledge. Like, you try to pay for that to stick around. And here goes this thing that's not a thing. Am I expected to work? Can I take vacation? Can I take the vacation I always wanted, or just watch movies and chill? See, no, if you tell me that like I get a payout, I don't want to be working. What are we talking about? Like, this thing, these people at the top are turning you against other working people. And that is a problem, especially in terms of ADOS. Like, that used to be our only place of refuge. I think Boyce and them talked a bunch of people out of their jobs. So a lot of people don't quit and try to do flashcards at home. But like, it's still disproportionate, and that's why you want to gut it. Y'all ain't fooling me. Can I watch movies and chill? Yeah, if you kick me out, if you told me, hey, if you tell me this is your buyout. I don't feel like I should have to work here. This is my buyout. What am I talking about? What are we doing? You either buy me out or I'm working. I'm not going to be bought out and working, but no, it's just about people wanting Netflix and chill on the job. And people who don't work in government, they have this view that the people who work in government are just sitting around doing what Doge is talking about. They just chilling. They just chilling on the job. They ain't doing no work. You know they not working. Y'all know better. See what it says? A website, hold on a second. This thing won't, here we go. A website details the offer for federal employees. The email sent to the federal workforce said employees who choose to resign will be exempt from a return to office requirements until September the 30th. An Office of Personnel Management memo issued late Tuesday said employees who resign who resign should promptly have their duties reassigned or eliminated and be placed on paid administrative leave. Well, what am I doing at home? I don't even know what they're talking about. Until the end of September, but left no room for agency directors to require employees to keep working for some time. So what are we talking about? This is just like, listen, I don't even understand what people are, the way people are falling for this. And like, you know, Walter Isaacson, who did a biography on Elon Musk, shows that like this is how he does things. And so we already talked about it. We already talked about the oligarchy in the room. We already had that conversation. Those of you all who were here know we already had that conversation about the difference between, who on Patreon, the difference between oligarchy, plutocracy, and like what we're living through right now. Yes, enforce that. But like you got to be careful. These people will, on one hand, the Trump administration might do immigration reform in terms of these people, right? The low-level immigrants, and on the other hand, they might replace everything. Who's gonna work? What happens to the federal worker? Who they get replaced by? Oh, it's just gonna be more efficient. No, you're cutting. The reason they don't feel that they're going to need as many federal workers is, one, conservatives have always wanted to kill government. You can go back to Grover Norquist, who said, get it small enough to where you can put it in the bathtub and snuff it out. Like that was strangling. Don't you move. Like that's what he feels. When you have a small government, you don't have a lot of regulations. You don't have a lot of enforcement. You don't have a lot of people to implement policy. You don't have a lot of people to enforce policy. This is what small government looks like, right? And that's always been my problem with it. That's always been my problem. Like people, I don't understand even, like, what is your problem with, because in terms of who we are, I look even at the Biden administration that stopped their investigation in terms of environmental racism in our communities. I look at Cancer Alley. The EPA has never really decided they want to file a lawsuit against some of these companies there. I want to see more enforcement. I look at Boaz. What's the little Boaz ham? Allegedly, don't mess with me. Like remember what they found at their factory that you were eating? I don't eat it. Remember that? That is a problem for me, right? And I don't have a problem. I have absolutely no problem that regular people have those jobs. I do not. I have no issue with the fact that, hey, that job, I'm not looking to just cut. What am I benefiting from that? Like they will tell you, well, it's going to cut your taxes. You'll look at your taxes be cut $20. You'll have $20. The real problem in terms of high taxes is this. Let me tell you the real problem in terms of high taxes. The real problem in terms of high taxes, you don't get enough for your money. If you saw government show up in your life at the way it shows up in your paycheck, you wouldn't have no problem. If the government showed up in your life 30 to 40% of the time and helped you 30 to 40% and matched the 30 to 40% that they take out on you, you wouldn't have no problem. The problem is even the stuff that's taken out because we are a captured country now, even the stuff that comes out, it goes to the top. You have people at the top that don't pay nothing, right? So it don't even go to us, right? That's the problem. If you had a strong safety net into where homelessness was basically impossible, right? If you lost your house, lost your job, it was virtually impossible for you to fall so far. If you had a bunch of walkable cities and you were able, and if you had the stuff most people have in a Western country for what you were paying, you wouldn't be too mad. You would complain because we complain because it's money. But if this country had decided at some point that they were going to use part of that 40% to pay reparations or at least get started, you wouldn't be mad at the paycheck. You'd be like, even though I don't believe we should really pay like that, we should have an extreme discount. But you wouldn't be walking around pissed off. The reason we walking around pissed off because you see this thing and you ask yourself, like, out of all of this, what do I get? Like, where is my munties? Right? Where does it go? Democrats saying this stuff might not even be legal. See, purging the federal government of dedicated career federal employees will have a vast unintended consequence that will cause chaos for the Americans who depend on a functioning federal government. Everett Kelly, president of the American Federation of Government Employees, the largest federal employee union, said in a statement, between the flurry of anti-war worker executive orders and policies, it is clear that the Trump administration's goal is to turn the federal government into a toxic environment where workers cannot stay even if they want to. That is a problem. There is no government enforcement. There is no government enforcement of civil rights. We already see that. There is no government enforcement of discrimination. There is no government enforcement. So we're just talking about enforcement. We're not even talking about policies and that sort of thing. Like, you all have seen X lately. And like, the capes are the Ku Klux hats. Those things are off now. They done took them off and they strutting around in them. Now, I'm not saying that that's everybody. I hate when people, well, you said the people. No, but I'm saying that like the people who do feel that way. I don't feel that all Trump voters feel that way. I'm not even sure. I don't even think the majority of them feel that way. But it's too many for me not to have some kind of protections. Somebody will tell you all day long, I don't see race. I really don't see race. I lead a colorblind life, and they will be the head of HR, and they will have a video up calling you a Monkey. Right? And so you have to have some protections in place. And it's not just against them. Remember the whole EEOC lawsuit against the Latinos calling ADOS Monkeys in California? Right, and making all those racist comments. You have it for that. So when we talk about government, we got to get into like what government really means. Stop talking about, yeah, you know, I don't know if the federal government did anything for me. Right? Let me just also point out something. It's not the case that all or even most federal workers are in D.C. About 15% of federal jobs are in Washington, D.C. metro, with approximately 83% are found in multiple locations throughout the country. And the remaining 2% are outside the United States, working in government. I'm not saying there's some stuff you can't cut, and I'm not saying that there's not some stuff you can streamline, but I'm also saying that some of that redundancy is intentional. Some of that, it's the government bureaucracy. Some of that stuff is intentional. You're going to have to go through some stuff to get some stuff, which usually means that somebody along the way catches it. Right? Like some of this stuff, and stop calling it, yes, it's a bunch of different organizations and it's a bunch of different offices and systems, checks and stuff like that. But it's not meant to be a business. We're not here to make a profit. That don't mean you can't streamline some stuff. I've seen some stuff myself need to be streamlined, but stop talking about it like that and stop acting like it's just people in D.C. That's not the case. People just be telling lies. And this, Paul Graham put up his office. He's a founder of, what was it? Whatever it was. I can't remember. He's a billionaire. But like, it's interesting because when he put up his office, it went viral. It got like 7 million views. My flight was delayed, so I cleaned up my office. That looks like a home office. Are you telling me that, like, this person who, according to them, has so efficient, why he can be home? Why some of the most, the richest and all these people, they get to be home and do work, and it's like, he's amazingly efficient. Yeah, billionaire founder of Y Combinator. Why they get to be home? It's just like you can't be home. Like you can't be home. You don't get to take your kid to a doctor's appointment, and you don't get to manage your own time. Like, because when you work from home, you have to manage your own time. I'm working this many cases. I'm doing this. Okay, I'm gonna get up from 6 to 9 and just hit it hard. And then from 9 a.m. to 11, I'm gonna take the kids over here. Then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do an extra hour at the end of the day, or you to make up for that 1 hour. You can't manage your own time. What are you? You just a little menial worker. You don't get to manage your time. And this is a standard. This should not be the standard to where you don't get to manage your own time. And we just decide something arbitrarily because we assume that you're lazy. Right? Come in. You got to come in and first do a study. Figure out how we might be able to make some things more efficient. There are already studies about this. Right? This is not the first time that it's been studied. But if you want to do another study, do that. But just coming in here telling people they fired just so you can cut the workforce? No. And Negroes don't even be understanding how they're impacted on the front end and the back end. On the front end, you have community there. On the back end, you have you need things over here. You need government to work. Now, it isn't government could be always be better. I'm always one for improvement, but you need it to work. You don't need to happen what happened yesterday and the day before where people were showing up to pick up stuff and they were telling them it was a freeze and all that. You don't need that. Government has to be somewhat efficient. It looks like right now we are on the road to inefficiency. We just gonna cut for the sake of cutting because somebody told us something. And you know, from people who have all of these H-1Bs, you know, working for them, I kind of get it. That's kind of, you would rather, hey, we could probably do a lot of this work cheaper. Like, this is kind of where we headed. So on one hand, you'll give us this kind of immigration policy and put it all over TV and put like, listen, I understand you got 1,000 people today. I also understand there's 300 and something million in this country. And that's not something I should be too focused on. I'm happy it's happening, but I'm not going to be fixated on this. You can't reality show old vet. You might reality show a lot of people to where they be fixated on 1,000 people. Great. That's what government should have been doing anyway. So I'm happy. And I don't even like this person that this tweet came from. So it's not even about that. You're going to have some strange bedfellows in this going forward, because it's a lot of people who say some real racist stuff, but they be on the right side of this. I'll deal with your racism later. But no, you cannot do that to me. No, I'm not finna be bothered. If something is inefficient, we should do a study and we should figure out what it is inefficient about it. There should be recommendations, and then we should cut. We should cut, build some stuff need more people. There's some enforcement we don't have in this country because we don't have enough people. Remember, they was finding little glass in the baby food, and they was finding little ants in some of the cereal or whatever, and little rat turds and all that. And people were like, how'd that happen? We don't have enough enforcement. Some places go years without getting an inspection. Some places might need cuts, and some places need more people. Why do we have all these polluted places? Because we don't have like a bona fide people to come out there and be like, what is all this oil doing in this river, right? There's not enough of that. So you have to do studies about that. You just can't come in and just, that's my problem with people who get a lot of money. They really start thinking that they be geniuses and stuff. And it's like, you're not a genius. You just want to cut government so that America can like be your playground and that it doesn't work for the people anymore. And like, I don't want that. I don't want it just to be, I don't want this to become a millionaire's playground. And like, we don't have, you know, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness because it's your playground. We already didn't get it as ADOS. Now I got to just deal with you. Did y'all see all the billionaires smiling like Cheshire cats at the inauguration? Listen, we got to be able to understand. I'm not going to walk around here and just be outdone over 1,000 people getting locked up by ICE. Okay. You did what we've been talking about. Now what you gonna do with the H-1B? What you gonna do about that? And this is your job anyway. I don't want to see a reality TV of you doing your job. You got hired by the people who voted for you. That is your job. Immigration enforcement is your job. I'm happy you're doing it. Now let's move on to some stuff. I'm not gonna see these. They've been doing stuff like America's Most Wanted, where they put the person's face up. They've been doing stuff like America's Most Wanted, where they put the person's face up, be like, we caught so-and-so. Okay, all right, okay. That's good, great. But I'm not going to overreact. We got a lot of stuff we got to take care of on a grand level. I'm not overreacting this stuff because it's on my Twitter feed or X feed. I don't call it X no more. I'm not overreacting. We got to stop doing that. Stop cheering. There's a lot of stuff going on while you cheering. While you cheering, people is moving. Stuff is happening. Stuff is going on. Don't you get too excited about these people. These people, don't nobody love us. Don't you get confused and think, oh, they doing what's right. No. Because what's going on here? I will not forget when Christmas apocalypse happened. Y'all remember when the whole thing happened with the visas or whatever, and everybody was pressuring Trump. I remember he came out and said he hired them for maitre d's or whatever. He was in favor of it. What are we gonna do about that? Right? I'm just asking a simple question. What are we gonna do about that? Like, we just not gonna talk about that part of it? And don't be like, well, you asking too much. You should ask a lot. Right? You should ask a lot. We should all ask a lot. We are all deserving of a lot. What's going on? So we're going to hate American workers on one hand because we call them federal workers. They're federal workers. In every state we have federal workers. You hate the park ranger? You don't like the park ranger? He's nice. He show you around the park. You don't like him either? But the H-1B is the maitre d', right? He gets to be, you watch the clip. They know a lot about wine. And what? You don't know. You can't find nobody in America that knows how to explain wine. Child, everybody got to stop lying to me. I'm just tired of it. I don't care for it. A lot of the H-1B stuff going around. I'm just saying, you got to watch it. You got to watch it because these people is playing a game. They are playing a game. Now, why would you? See, this is why you call federal workers the bureaucracy. But these people you bring into the X, huh? Like they are the good, hard-working people, and they don't watch Saved by the Bell. And American workers better learn how to stick together. That's what they better do. You better learn how to stick together. Because if you don't, people go, look at all that little X work. And that's just one part. You better learn how to stick together as workers and not just, we already, heck, we can't stick together sometimes as ADOS. Well, right. And sit together over the wrong thing. You see how federal workers went up after what happened in the 1930s to make that happen? What happened right around there when federal workers just went up? What happened there? Now I know we got locked out of that. But what happened there? During that little period, what was that? Y'all gonna let them turn federal jobs and all the good jobs and not good because you get to watch Netflix and eat bonbons, but because there's some security there, right? Federal jobs have more security. You're gonna let them just turn that over because they're not gonna give it back to you. Just understand that. Like they're not gonna give you enough to really make a lot of sense, right, in your life. And if they do, they're gonna take it away in what you get in terms of services. And that's especially us who live in red states. Most Negroes live in red states, and red states are taker states, which means they get a lot more than they give. Little robbing states. It don't look good. We talking about the New Deal. Yeah, fam, New Deal. They're trying to undo the New Deal. Like, just to say it what it is. Like, we fought to be included in the New Deal, and they're trying to undermine the New Deal. That's all this is. The 1930s, we're talking about the New Deal. They're trying to take the New Deal away. The New Deal is the advent of all that stuff. The Federal Workers, National Labor Relations Board, all that New Deal stuff. They're trying to get rid of the New Deal. That's all this is. This is nothing but an elimination of the New Deal under the cloak of the federal workers don't want to come to work. That's all that's happening, child. Don't let these people fool you. And here's where you find the workers at. Y'all gonna cut the military? I'm trying to figure out where y'all gonna cut them from. Veterans Affairs? I know y'all cutting Justice. Homeland Security? Treasury? Agriculture? Health and Human Service? Department of the Interior? Native Americans? Social Security? We know you got, what is his name? Ain't Dr. Oz over there in what is he? Is he in Medicare? What are we cutting? Like, we did no kind of audit. Elon came in and said we cutting stuff. That's what's going on. And everybody's okay with that. I'm talking about my people. I ain't talking about over there. We okay with that? Y'all saw all the ones show up in the chat of the people who either are in the not in the military, but in government or know somebody who works in government. Y'all okay with all of them like not having? Because somebody who came here from another country, here's the bottom part of it, decided that that's the way it's gonna be. I mean, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with none of what they talk about right now. And you don't get a pass for it just because, like, listen, it don't cost you that much more money to do enforcement with government workers through immigration service. I feel like my fear is that we will stay so stuck on what is happening on one side of immigration, we won't even look at what's happening on the other side, right? Like that's my fear. We'll be so stuck on, oh my God, did y'all see? Because Elon he gotta be like doing something on Twitter. Who ice caught today show up first on your feed or whatever. And I don't ever chase the first Twitter thing. If it go down, it go down. I'm not chasing nothing. That's a whole setup to have you scrolling all day. Let me find the one. Let me find the one. I just see something. I'm finding. No, screw you. I'm not chasing nothing. But this whole thing is a setup. It's a setup. It's just a setup. It's a setup. And it's just a setup to get rid of the New Deal and to tell you that they're getting rid of waste. It's not about getting rid of waste. It's about getting rid of the New Deal. They never liked it. They never wanted it. Right? The rich never did. And I really feel like in a lot of ways that Trump was freer during his first term. I feel like he was freer, but he didn't really know what he was doing. Right? So he was limited because he didn't really understand how to do the job. I feel like this time he understands how to do the job, and he's more limited because there are more people in his pocket. I feel like people say, hey, we'll help you get there. We'll give you the money to get there. You'll get there. You'll be able to save yourself because you're going to save January 6th. But we have things that we want. We have things that we need. Once you understand that J.D. Vance was set up by Peter Thiel, who is a tech billionaire, once you understand that that's who created him, you begin to understand what's happening, and you can be on the side of saying, hey, I agree with this thing that the Trump administration is doing here and here, and I'm not saying that we can't make some edits and changes to government and different branches of other stuff too. Like there's other stuff that he could do that could be good. Nobody is saying this all going to be one way. This is not a Trump, I hate Trump video. That's not what we're saying. I'm saying pay attention to everything. Pay attention to who's in charge, how they got in charge, and how what they're doing impacts you. You should not care about any politician the same way they absolutely do not care about you. They do not care about your family. They don't care about your community. If they want to make this about business, and I don't think government should be about business, but if they want to make it about business, we can do the same thing. This is not personal. If you want to make it about business, I can too. That means that this is not personal. This is not about whether or not I like you. Right? This is about whether or not you are doing the thing right now that serves me and my community. That's it. That's all I care about. If this thing that you're doing now serves me right now, if we've talked about immigration, we all know what I stand. Birthright citizenship, I am 100% down. I talked about it on the last show. Go for it, Trump. That serves us. And it was the original intent anyway. This other thing doesn't. And I think we have to get used to this. It's not just this era. We have to get used to this thing, but we kind of go back and forth where, hey, this thing is good, this thing not so much. And we make our own assessments as we go. And it's not about necessarily party affiliation, except for the fact that we know that most of us vote Democratic, so we expect more from the Democrats. But no matter who is in office, do you think Republicans stop talking about Obama when he got in office? No. Do you think they stopped being active? No. So we have to be, no matter who we are, no matter whether you consider yourself conservative or whether you consider yourself a Democrat or a liberal or you unaffiliated, we should be, I have always said this, we should be an agenda-driven people, not a party-driven people. And I'm just saying, for me, I see something right here that is problematic. That doesn't mean that what I saw last week was not good. It was. This part, though, is problematic. So that's just where I am on this right now. I will leave it at that, fam. I will set up the phones, and you can call in and tell me whatever you got to say, but I will leave it there, fam. And that is, hey, listen, I'm all for varying opinions, too. If you disagree with me, call in, let me know, and we can have that conversation. I'm not saying that you don't have room to disagree. I'm telling you what I think. All right. Give me 20 seconds so I set up the phones, fam, and we will be back. All right, fam. All right. All I got is joinados.com. I mean, I don't have nothing else because I think what we have to see is that, and I think what this moment is kind of teaching is that we have to be able to advocate for ourselves. And I think we have kind of gotten caught up in like this thing where I think Twitter can really make you feel like you're doing something, right? And I'm not saying that you can't influence anybody on Twitter. Like our stuff started on Twitter. It will always be Twitter, never X. And even with all of the problems I had back then with the sassy blue checks and the throttling, it just didn't even make sense to make that name change. It was just stupid. But I really do feel like we have gotten into the mode that we think, well, if I yell loud enough on this platform, and even outside of Twitter, if I yell loud enough, if I'm a one-trick pony, and the only thing I say to people is I yell like, it's a lineage and you're not one of us and da da da. If I just yell those things, that somehow it will convince people. And the only thing it does when you do it that way all the time, it just pushes people away. And I don't even think people understand that, like, this is a different medium. This is YouTube. Tomorrow it will be, or Friday, depending. I'm going really to Friday on Patreon. It will be Patreon. That is even different than like giving a speech. A lot of similarities, but that's even different than that. That is even different than advocating one-on-one with somebody. That is different than running into somebody at the grocery store, right? And having a one-on-one conversation. Every situation requires a different toolbox. Every situation requires you to know new stuff. Just kind of regurgitating this thing that you heard, even if it's right, is not enough if it's not enough. And I think we kind of don't understand that. And that kind of leaves a space too for us to lack advocacy and also just be easily triggered by people, right? You know, who just kind of, the whole aim is to get you triggered. And, you know, if you join ADOS.com, I'm going to do something on that. I haven't set a date, but I'm going to do something, a one-on-one, like not a one-on-one, but a building session on like how to get around some of those things. Because we have a lot of problems, and we have a lot of problems that we need to solve, and a lot of people that don't even want to listen to understand that they have a problem, right? In terms of how we do this advocacy. But first you have to be a part of like people who are like-minded, and it's just interesting. But somebody said Dr. Phil and Oprah, yeah, he was a DEI hire. Well, because Oprah was trying to get out of that meat thing. She was trying to get out of that lawsuit. But anyway, fam, let me go. I got a caller in the queue. 914. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about you, fam?
I'm doing all right. I really appreciate, what you do as far as talking about the reparations and really getting that done. But I'm just curious to, like, why be surprised with the guy y'all were left with?
Who said anything about surprise?
You roasted Harris for like a whole segment,
show.
Yeah. I'm just curious, was this the play?
Okay. First of all, this is not the guy I was left with. And first of all, nobody said anything about surprise. I probably know more about Trump than you ever would. So like there is no surprise.
Yeah, I wouldn't debate you on that.
So there is no surprise here. And let me just say this.
Oh, okay.
Let me just say this. I warned Harris and the Democrats that this would happen. Right? Harris people and Democrats told me, no, there's no way. There's no way she loses to Trump. And I said, absolutely. She's absolutely losing to Trump if she doesn't get her stuff together. If she doesn't talk to people, if she doesn't talk to ADOS people specifically, if she doesn't talk to us about what we need, if she doesn't talk policy, I said she's going to lose. Right? That's what I said. And Democrats told me that it couldn't happen. So it's not what I got left with. And it's not like Democrats warned me, but we warned y'all about Trump. No, I warned you. Like, I warned the Democrats about this, and they told me that this was an impossibility, and here we are. Now, I think that Democrats could have done.
That's unfortunate for the Democrats. I agree.
Yeah, go ahead though. Oh.
Yeah, no, that was just my whole thing. I mean, I think you stand a better chance for that whole reparations movement with somebody on the Democratic side as Harris, and not that she would have pushed the agenda forward 100%, but I don't think she would be getting rid of DEI and trying to end things that help folks that are minorities to be in a better place. I don't think she would have ended that.
Well,
what he's doing, I think, in my opinion, is worse than what people could have imagined. Or maybe I'm wrong.
well, I think we have to stop thinking about it that way, right? So let me just go back to your other thought. And I'm not trying to be aggressive. I'm just naturally that way sometimes.
No, you should be aggressive. Listen, we should be aggressive and heavily opinionated because these are serious conversations and times. So get as aggressive as you want. I'm with you.
Well, see, here's my problem, and I hear you when you say you're not going to get reparations under Trump. I hear you. But the other side of that is when Biden came in, the first thing he told the CBC is don't hold your breath on reparations. So, you know, when we talk about DEI too, ADOS are a small minority of DEI. It's not, we were made the face of it. And we allowed Democrats to make us the face of it. And Republicans used that to say, hey, we're going to get rid of DEI and we're going to get rid of these Negroes. They didn't talk about the rural farmers. They didn't talk about other whites. And they didn't talk about the LGBT community. They didn't talk about Arab Americans. They didn't talk about Native Americans. A whole bunch of other people who included in DEI, right? But they didn't talk about them. They only talked about us. I don't like DEI as that because affirmative action was supposed to be for us. It was supposed to be a specific thing for redress and harm, not for just our diversity. They changed that in the Bakke Supreme Court decision and basically replaced race harm, you know, the redress for racial harm, and which was really lineage harm. They replaced it for diversity. So yes, they were going to do diversity, but you have to ask how much have we benefited from diversity, and you have to wonder why Democrats couldn't do more that they would be able to talk about. Like if Democrats had done some of the things that we were talking about and addressed some of our needs, I don't think you have a Trump victory. I think you have an ADOS base that comes out because you will have answered the question, why should I vote for you? Right? I think that's what would have happened. I think Democrats keep looking at us like we're a captured electorate and they don't have to speak specifically to our needs. Kamala Harris tried to avoid that for a very long time. She tried to avoid speaking directly to us, and that was a mistake. And the only thing you can hope for Democrats that they would learn from that mistake.
Right. No, one thing I do, I agree with what you're saying. For the most part, I appreciate you giving me more insight. But as long as we need either the Democrat or the Republican Party, as in any relationship, if you need someone, they're going to have less respect for you. If you are independent of those individuals and those parties, and we try to push and do it in a different way, I think we make more motion. I think you get more people.
You're always going to need them. You are like there's like
get them to respect you more.
There's nobody who doesn't.
Listen, man.
There's nobody who doesn't need their government. Like I think that's a story that we get told.
No, I agree with we need the government. I'm not saying we don't need the government.
Okay.
I'm saying we don't need either party to move the needle. We need to try to find a way to get our own party, and it don't necessarily have to be just like a black party, but a party that sees what we're talking about, respects it, and is willing to push that agenda.
But the question, no, you need Democrats to respect it. Like you cannot be. There's no way because even if you let's say your thing happens and you get a quote unquote black party, First of all, that's a small party. Second of all, everybody ain't coming with you. Third of all, it's a 30, 40-year journey in terms of what you have to do state to state. So like it doesn't you just split up the Democratic Party basically and you cede everything to Republicans. What you need though is you need the Democratic Party to move like what we are. We are the base of that party and they need to move like that. And what we have is that we have allowed them as a group of people because we really don't do advocacy. We just show up and we vote blue no matter who, and we have done that for a very long time. And so we didn't do that. We still voted majority, but there was a lot more tension, a lot more going on. We talked about the who voted where. We've already done that show. But we're not agenda driven. We've been party driven. And so what's always happened is that people know that they can depend on us no matter what. Like Democrats know I can depend on the Negro vote. So let me go win Latinos. I can depend on the Negro vote. They ain't got nowhere to go. So let me go win working class whites. Let me go get the soccer moms. So what we have to let them know is, what we have to let them know.
It seems like a task though that's going to keep us in the same place though. We've been trying to get the Democratic Party to move. And even
No,
when
we
had
haven't.
some
I would say we
man of
haven't.
color,
I would say we haven't. I
he
would say
still
we.
wasn't trying to move the needle in that direction.
I would say we haven't. I would say we have not been trying to make Democratic Party move. We have been committed to the Democratic Party. But being committed to a party is not the same thing as trying to get a party to move. We have shown loyalty to the party, but we have not tried to move that party in a different direction.
Well, I'm here 100% behind you getting that Democratic Party to move. I'm heart and soul into it. You're having something I'm pushing, and I'm telling other people to push with it. But I just don't believe Democrats is willing to budge. It's too many folks, you know, on the other side that are contributing to them that they feel good enough that, you know, that'll get them through the door.
Well, they gotta budge or lose if we say so. Like we can make it to what. Yeah, but they gotta move if we say move. Like if we decide we're not voting for the party no more. They lose every election. Like they have. If we ever decide to move, they have to move. They don't have a choice. We're the base of the party. So like we don't really understand our own power.
If they see us as willing to split the Democratic Party, and for another election to be split, we like, nah, we're not voting for y'all at all. Y'all ain't saying what we talking about. We're not voting for y'all at all. We got our own thing we working on. That might get them to move.
No, they're gonna say good luck, and we're gonna move further to the right, and we're gonna win over some more white folk, and we're gonna win over some more Native Americans, and we're gonna win over some more Latinos. Goodbye and have a great life. That's what they're gonna say to you.
If that's what it's gonna be, I mean, it doesn't seem like we ever get them to move the needle.
You never tried.
It doesn't seem like you don't think so?
No, like we haven't tried in decades.
Right.
I can't say never, but we haven't tried. Oh God, knock that thing out. But we haven't tried in decades. Like it's not. Okay. So I'm not saying that like being loyal to a party is not the same as saying, listen, do this or else. Like we don't have an or else. We don't have an exchange for our vote. We just show up and vote, and nobody else does it that way.
So what does the or else look like? I'm just curious. When you say, you know, you do this for me or else, what does the or else look like? Does it look like we have an independent way to go and the or else is real? Or is it just another threat?
No, the or else looks like the or else could be a third party in terms of what some people tried to do. Cornel West tried to do it. Jill Stein tried to do it. The or else could be something like that. But I'm not going to try to take people out of a party and lead them on another fool's errand. Like I'm not a big fan of jumping out of the fryer and into the pot. Right. And that's not what I do. Like, so that's my thing. But there has to be, and out there, and a lot of people, you know, a good amount of people did pick the third way. Right. And did say like, I'm going in this other direction. So it's not to say that like that doesn't happen, but we have not legitimately, like enough of us said, I'm not doing this. Like this past time we had to fight. We had to fight with people who were Democrats. It was a whole fight going on. We were punching out each other. And so we still haven't, as a group, gotten around to, hey, we have to have like this thing where we are agenda driven and we are not driven just by like we vote Democrat. And we haven't woke up from that. And the thing, nothing changes until we wake up from that thing there.
Well, we got to get in our minds that we got to, it might be an or else this time, coming around next time. It might be all else.
If people, I mean, I think it should be this time. I think the Democrats lost to Trump. I think we should be able to tell them, hey, if you want to win, like this is how you win. I don't even think that needs to be an or else. I think Trump should be the wake-up call. Like you should not have lost to him. There is no way that you should have lost to Trump. This is insane. Like I think this should be wake-up call time.
It is, but when you have somebody running on the protection of whiteness, it's hard to beat that in America.
That's the American way.
If you protecting whiteness, they gonna run with you.
That's the American way. We've had that before.
So we gotta figure something out. I hear what you're saying. All grace, respect to you. You know, I watch the show continuously. Great having this conversation with you, but we gotta come up with something because this ain't it. It really ain't.
I appreciate you.
All right.
Have a good one, fam. Just gonna try to get to a couple more calls real quick. Part of the problem for me, and I'm gonna get to the couple more calls, but part of the problem for me is I think everybody wants to do something drastically different that's outside of the electoral system that we currently have. there's a lot wrong with the electoral system in terms of Citizens United, all of that. But you're not going to change that part. The stuff that's really wrong is the stuff that the Supreme Court needs to come and say this is stupid, or the Democratic Party needs to turn away from this stuff and say like we're on the favor of the American worker and this is the direction we're going. But like if you're having trouble with the system that exists, how do you think that you are going to build a totally new system? That's the thing that just kind of, if this system is wrecked, like it's a fully built system, you think that you are going to now go and build a different system. So that's the thing for me. Let me go to the next caller. I am going to 445. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Matt, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, fam. What's going on?
So I'm from Philadelphia. I'm a supporter of ADOS. I have a friend who lives in Texas who's also a supporter. We were talking about this for quite some time. I did not want Trump in office, not because I have an issue with Trump. I actually think he's nothing more than a useful idiot. But I knew what the Heritage Foundation was cooking up. And my friend and I have been talking about this since last year.
Okay.
If he got in office, this was our opinion. If he got in office, and we know he's a useful idiot, for the actual far right-leaning, the political and ideological far right, which you did get in office, we see that he's pretty much just bending to their will, just doing what they tell him. My friend and I are like, redress is going to be nearly impossible. And I was really bothered over the last year and a half of people who are either part of ADOS or people claiming to be, that were making the argument that Kamala and Donald would be 100% the same. Two sides of one coin. I think there's one argument to be made if you say either side of what was going on, either candidate, right? Back even when it was Biden, either candidate is in support of redress. That's one thing. You could say, okay, well, Biden's not going to do it. Trump's not going to do it. They throw Kamala, and Kamala's not going to do it. But to say that Kamala would have been 100% the same politically for those of us who are Black American descendants of U.S. slaves, so those of us who are Adolf's, is like absurd, because I don't think Kamala would be undoing civil rights. No.
I never. Well, let me just say this. Like, I think it's impossible to say that they're the same, right? Like, so for me, the problem that I always had with Democrats, and I understood that this was slow burn versus throw everything in the fire, right? That was the difference.
Yeah.
The problem that I always had that I have with Democrats, and that I have had for some time, and I'm not just talking about on ADOS issues, I'm talking about labor and everything. I don't talk about those things because this is the ADOS movement and we're driven on that. But the problem I have always had with Democrats is that Democrats are accommodationist. And what happens in America when people are accommodationists, especially in an America that wants change, they're going to find somebody to change, even if that change is in the wrong direction, right? And so I honestly feel, with or without, like us, the majority of us, not me, but the majority of people voted for Kamala. The majority of ADOS voted for Kamala anyway, right? So that really isn't on us. But I still feel as if what Democrats have decided to do, and I don't even like, you all know I have I can't say like, but you all know I have my strong criticisms of AOC, Ocasio-Cortez. I have my strong criticism of her. But she said something very similar on the Jon Stewart podcast. There's this thing where you just want to kind of tinker with the edges. And our time to really have change in this country was Obama. Obama came in, like, they gave Obama the first shot at this.
I agree.
Obama got the first shot.
I don't think people know that the Heritage Foundation, every time a president is elected, they slide that mandate for leadership across the president's desk. If I'm not mistaken, they did not do that when he got in office. Because they thought, the first time, I think they didn't do it because I think they were thinking, oh my God, the political and ideological far right is dead. A Negro has been placed in the White House. So you're 100% right.
So like, to me, this is a natural outcome. So if you don't do it, like if you have the opportunity for change and you allow Rahm Emanuel to tell you, just in general, I'm not even talking about ADOS right now. If you allow Rahm Emanuel to tell you, hey, don't try to fight for universal health care, do this other Mitt Romney thing, then the next time the pendulum is going to swing the other way. right? If the American people have given you and say, do it, change we can believe in. You're right, Obama, let's go do it. And you come over there and their lives are, they feel, and they're right, are mostly the same when you come out of this crisis that you could have done something with. They're going to say, hey, the Democrat didn't work. I'm going to go and find this Republican. There are a lot of Bernie people who decide, not a lot, but there are enough, too many Bernie people who decided to go with Trump because they're like, I need to shake this up. Now, I would never, and I have not said that these two people are the same. I do believe Kamala is a Democrat and Trump is a fit in and do what I want, and I'm a business, and if I sell a coin or whatever, whatever trash, that's the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm gonna do what I want. But so I would argue against anybody who said that these two people were the same. I don't think Trump is the same as any politician, by the way. I think he's an outlier. I don't even think Trump is the same as a Republican politician, because I think a Republican politician would be following all the rules right now and would be doing the things that
I agree. But can I just say why
Sure.
I even bring up that argument?
No, go ahead.
Positioning them as the same. And it's not only people that know about ADOS. It's those of us who are in this community who are technically ADOS people, but don't really pay attention to politics, but they heard something on a TikTok video, and they heard something on a YouTube video. I'm talking to these people that I work with, people in my neighborhood, people that I know. My friend who also is a supporter is doing the same thing, and they're just hearing these people that are just casually making their argument. To me, it ties into what are we going to do now? Right now, it seems like we really have our backs up against the wall when it comes to the possibility of redress. They're stripping away things that really were put in place to benefit our specific ethnic group. So, like, people are going to have to get serious about politics, and I'm just going to ask you, what do you think is the road forward in terms of trying to get this? Because I was making an argument, Kamala is not going to be perfect, but if people could work on getting individuals out of Congress that don't, benefit and serve us well, and we try to get people in Congress that are sort of moving on the ADOS type time, that could benefit us, even if we don't have somebody that we want in the White House. I was like, we could do this slowly, but having this, zero sum, it's either somebody right here, right now in the White House giving us reparations, or else who cares, or else I'm not that concerned. Like, what do we do now, especially when we have a sizable amount of people in our community that'll just say, off-cuff comment like, oh, they're all the same, or nobody's going to, like, what do you think needs to be done right now?
Well, I will tell you, I think Trump has 2 years, first of all, and I think Trump understands that he has 2 years. I think you have, unless the Democrats mess up, and they are one to do it, I think you see a Democratic wave in the midterms. So I think Trump has 2 years, and I think he knows he has 2 years. And if Democrats decide that they're going to full-throatedly, not this stuff around the edges, come to us and other groups, I think that they can stop this. And I think that if they get elected in 2028, they can turn all this around. I don't think this is the end of the world, but I do think they're really getting a lesson in stuff that they stood against, which includes immigration and other things. And they're seeing that, like, Democratic voters are not going to anymore say, like, I brought up a article about Obama in 2008, right after he got elected. And he said, I want to temper expectations. Nothing's going to happen fast, blah, 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 blah. And I think people understand now, no, you can really get busy. Like, even stuff that's going to get kicked back. There's a lot of things that you can do quick. And I said this during the Obama administration. I said, he's in charge of his cabinet. Like, stop telling me about what Congress has to do. There's a lot of stuff that he can do in terms of policy just through his cabinet, right? And people said, no, that's not true. So I think now people are getting a wake-up call in terms of the possibility, what is possible. When you talk about what's missing, one of the key elements, and I haven't done this in a while because it's just been a busy time for me, but like, we always had the Breaking Brown book club, right? And part of the problem, I think, that has happened in terms of lineage, in terms of this whole conversation, is that a lot of people have run away with the talking points, but not the work, right? So a lot of people have kind of run off and just kind of repeat things they may hear here or may hear Mink Slide say when he's picked up the talking points, but there is no other kind of interrogation in terms of policy. That's number one. The second thing I will say is that I think we have a lot of the same problem now that we had in 2008 when Obama got elected, right? We have an agenda up at ADOSFoundation.org, and we have other stuff that we're working on, but it's easy to just kind of go along with something and say this thing is exactly like this other thing, if you haven't done the work to kind of say, okay, what are their differences on justice? What are their differences on health? What are differences here? If you haven't done that work, you can't say that these things are different and make an assessment based on that. Now, so I don't view them as just the same. I view the people who did vote for Trump, I think that was more of a protest vote than anything. But to the people that I think you are talking to, I think you are talking to people who are, or speaking to people who are kind of low information voters, maybe, and just kind of think that these people, and I think some of those people may go by ADOS, but some of those people may go by a different acronym. And then some of those people are just pissed because we have given our vote to these people over and over and over again, and they haven't done the stuff that they need to do in favor of us. It's become like this minority amalgamation when there was a need for a specific redress. And we feel like, I feel like that we are, as a moment in time, not just Democrat or Republican, before Trump, that we are coming out of the redress moment that the first black president has made white folk feel that we have already received redress and we haven't received anything, right? And I think there were people, and I totally understand it if I'm honest with you, who felt like something has to give. And with the Kamala president, it will just be Democrats telling us, hey, we're not going to do that. Don't expect anything on reparations. Don't respect anything. And we'll have this. Meanwhile, Native Americans get billions in COVID and all this stuff. So I know that they're not the same. And I think people who do the work know that they're not the same. But I do say, like, we read books here, but there are too many people who are doing this because it may be fashionable and lineage may be in, and they use that kind of stuff to get clout and to have attention as opposed to really being advocates for the movement.
I agree. And then I don't want to take too much of your time. I just have like one more thing to ask you. So do you think, the focus should be 2 years from now, getting people, during the midterm, getting people elected that are going to support this, and then still trying to figure out a presidential candidate that's going to support this? Like, do you think that is pretty much the only way we move forward?
Let me ask you a question. Have the Democrats picked a DNC chair yet?
Well, I don't think so.
Okay. Like, that will determine my direction. Like, that will determine. There's a lesson here for Democrats to learn, right? There is a lesson here. There is no way you should have lost to Trump. I'm not even talking about the lawsuits and all that stuff. I'm talking about the way this man moves and the way he talks and what he does know and what he doesn't know. There is no way you should have lost. And the lesson that Democrats should learn from this is that they have to serve like their people, the people who vote for them, in a transformative way, not an accommodationist way. And the way that I will see whether or not they have learned that lesson is through who they pick for DNC chair. Once they pick that person, I haven't seen it either. That's why I was asking you. I didn't think they did. If they did, somebody put it in the chat.
Yeah, no, I don't think they did. But what I meant when I said I don't think they did, like, I don't even know if they even know. I don't even think they might have an idea. I really don't think they know what to do right now.
Well, we're all in quite a pickle then. Like, because I'm not even looking just at Trump right now. Like I said, Trump got 2 years. I'm not even just looking there. And I don't think there's anything that Trump could do that can't be rolled back. The question then becomes, are Democrats going to be the party to get the vote of people in order to roll that thing back? And if they haven't learned that lesson, then that party's in trouble. Not just us. Like, not just people who normally vote. Everything, because they have to learn this.
I mean, that's fair, because if they don't get the people out, they don't get in office.
They should never have lost to Trump. Not one time, not twice. One time could have been a fluke. This should never have happened to them. Like, you cannot. This shouldn't have happened. That's all I'm saying. Like, to lose to Trump, to beat, and even the way they did this, like, this just madness. The way Biden, I'm not even gonna get into Biden dropping out and all the people who are around him. I don't even want to talk about all that. But I'm just saying, like, once this happens, once you fail this magnificently, like, you have to change everything about how you operate as a political party.
I agree. I'm like, I don't know why they were bringing out this thing. I don't see what that's going to
Well, let me just say this too. Democrats always say we did a lot and you just don't know. And I agree that there are some things that they did just in terms of the betterment of people that people don't know about. But stop acting like we don't know because we didn't research. You don't know because you don't really want to say it loud because you don't really want to upset your donors, right? You don't really want people to know the little stuff you do for people. Well, that becomes a problem too because you can't be full-throated. You can't full-throatedly advocate for people. So what are you going to do? Everybody can't be running to get a bunch of money from rich folk. Like, I think everybody should understand right now, the right has that locked down. Now, I understand there are different groups of rich folk fighting, but like you can't be a party of the people and just be like, we're not as bad as Republicans or we're not as bad as Trump. And that just doesn't work. And let me just say to Republicans, they ran over all of them folk, all of them other Republican candidates to run back to Trump. Now, I said at first, like, J.D. Vance was kind of he looked like a shoe-in for Trump. He was a good choice. I don't feel that way anymore. I don't feel like there's a there. I don't feel like there's a person inside of Vance. I feel like he's an empty suit that was propped up. And I think the right is realizing that. But there is a space for somebody else to emerge on the right and the left. So the thing that I'm going to be watching for is whether or not, we always have somebody emerge, but Democrats stomp them out. Get out of here. Like, poor little Bernie, he was old and then he ended up supporting all the other people, but the energy was behind Bernie. So the question becomes is when these new voices emerge, who would be open to universal healthcare, who will be open to reparations, who will be open to transformative policy. Does the Democratic Party encourage that person and lift them up for the top? Or does the Democratic Party say, hey, no, if a governor of a Democratic state or somebody who's running for governor says, I have changed my views on some of this stuff, I'm more transformative. Do they do better in the Democratic Party or do they do worse? That's the question. That's the thing I'm looking at right now. And we have to push them in that direction.
I agree. Thank you for your time.
No, I appreciate it. You have a good one.
You too.
Yeah, I see people say that it's the same. No, our problem with Harris was in terms of my commentary is not going far enough, not doing enough. It was never these people are the same. It was never the same. Like, you're not gonna have any. Like, you might as well just let any kind of civil rights enforcement go for the next at least 2 years, right? Like, they might be able. It's gonna be lawsuits, but the other side of it is the Trump administration might be caught up in a bit of a quagmire with all these lawsuits and stuff. So it's gonna be interesting. But what I come down to is that, listen, I didn't, but ADOS in general voted for the Democrats, and so even with that, like. It is what, I think they came out, whether or not, we can argue about should have or whatever, but they came out. 623, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Oh, my God. Thank you. Appreciate you. You're the queen of civil rights.
Appreciate you, fam. What's up with you?
The new Rosa Parks.
No, I did that. People would.
Okay, for a 74-year-old guy going on 75 that have seen a number of things in America, this idea that Kamala Harris wasn't supposed to lose to Trump is somewhat of an issue because she was supposed to lose to Trump. It was already written that she was going to lose to Trump. She lost to Biden in the primary.
That's true.
Before.
That's true.
She did lose. She was a lost candidate. This is the thing.
I think she could have did better though. She was just she was an awful candidate and she never improved. She had a long time from 2020 to 2024 to improve and she didn't know.
But she's just not a good politician. And she does have a brain in her head. But this is the thing. Joe Biden was the last of the old guard for the Democratic Party. Joe Biden would not have beat Trump. Joe Biden would have fell down.
That's true.
He would have fell asleep. He would have. The process was too vigorous for him. They already knew that. So what they didn't want to do, the great white hope, the white supremacists on the Democratic side, didn't want Joe to take an L to a person like Trump. So what they did was, I don't know if they gave him a shot the day of the debate, or put a little something extra in his medicine bottle and stuff, right, we good. So he's going to look really cumbersome and look lethargic. And then what we're going to do is keep Joe from taking the L. We're going to slide Joe out, replace him with Kamala, and let her take the L.
But hold on a second. Hold on a second. Do you think Joe thought that he looked cumbersome in that debate? Do you think he thought, because Joe Biden has gone on the record now and said that he thinks he could have won. Like, Kamala is mad at him now.
No, he's got to say that.
And I think he believes it. I think he believes it. I think he absolutely believes it.
To look like a strong white man.
I think he believes it.
He has to say that. But now, people lie. Just because he said that doesn't mean that he knows that to be true or feels that is true in his head. What does that mean? If he thought he could beat Joe, beat Trump, why get out of the race?
Well, he feels like he was forced out of the race. He feels like people convinced him. People came to him and said, listen, Kamala has a shot. You don't have a shot. And all of the polls really show that he didn't have a shot. And he says he was convinced that he didn't have a shot, but he believed he could have did a repeat.
No, he wasn't. It wasn't going to happen. And this is the thing. What you have to understand, America is on the threshold of civil war. If Kamala had beat the play colored girl, had beat Trump, the great, magnificent, real white man, we would have been, the Proud Boys would have been at every capital throughout the country. It would not have went well if Kamala had won. You would not. We don't want Kamala to have won. When we know when you my age, you know what America is capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And America, when they stormed the White House on January 6th, let you know that half of this country is still Confederate South.
That's true.
And the other half is barely holding on to the Union. And the guy asked you before what we should do. We should still keep pushing the narrative of reparation and the Alexander Dumas, all for one and one for all. We need to become one people with one voice, and it will work. That's the one thing that we haven't done. And when we decide to do that, we will win. We have to have an agenda like everyone else when we present ourselves to the party. We don't have an agenda. Ask and now shall receive.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in a lot of ways, I'm not saying anything that I haven't said. I think January 6th was awful. I mean, I think January 6th, and people keep saying that wasn't an insurrection. Like, it was. Like, they tried to, overturn.
It was an insurrection, and we were Trump's a traitor to the country, and all of the Proud Boys and that terrorist part of the Republican Party are the old Confederate South trying to hold on to. They didn't actually lose the Civil War. They just decided that, hey, look, we just can't as white people, keep fighting each other about these Negroes.
Well,
have to call it off for right now. And it's just like the 14th Amendment thing with birthrights. The 14th Amendment came after the 13th Amendment that freed slaves, and the 14th Amendment was primarily for the children of prior slaves to be citizens. It was not for immigrants to become citizens. The children of immigrants to become children.
Well,
to become citizens.
I'm gonna let you have the last word, fam, and I'm trying to get to another caller.
Okay, so at the end of the day, it's all for one and one for all. We need to have our own agenda, and that agenda is reparation or nothing. Thank you.
Appreciate you, fam. Appreciate you. Yeah, I don't think it's that. I think reparations is the cornerstone, right? But if somebody is giving me something transformative, I'm still pushing for reparations, but I'm taking this transformative stuff, right? Like my question is always, and I would encourage people for this to be your question or one of your questions. My question is always like, how does this thing or how does this policy improve the quality of life for this group of people who I'm fighting for, right? So, like, if you can come up with something that's transformative, it is not in lieu of reparations. That's still a debt that's we're building on that. We're working to that. That has to happen, or we're not going to be okay in this country. But like, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. What we've had with too many Democrats, though, is almost like, well, I'm just going to protect what Martin Luther King gave you, right? And Trump is going to tear it down. Yeah, he's going to tear it down. Or he might, but like, that's not enough. And I think there has to be something in here, in the middle here. And like, all of you all who watch this know that I've been saying this. Like, I saw somebody in the chat say, "There's a lot of woulda, coulda." No, I don't. I said all this stuff. You just weren't paying attention. Like, I've said, there's nothing here that I'm saying that's like brand new that just popped into. No, I've been saying this. Y'all have gotten on. How many times have people gotten on me for saying that's part of the reason people like shoot Democratic Shield? Because I think government. I like a bigger government. I believe that in order to enact some kind of reparations policy, you're going to need a bigger government. It's not going to come out of small government, right? When we saw what happened in Reconstruction, when the federal government decided to leave us to the South and we got left with the KKK, there's a reason for that for me. But anyway, let me go to another call, y'all. 646. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing, Yvette?
Hey, what's going on?
Well, I mean, not much. I was just, listening to the last caller a little bit.
You sound sleepy. You've been over there resting.
Huh?
I said, you've been over there resting. You sound sleepy.
Yeah, I just think, I think I'm more on your side, but I think the problem is for our people is a lot of our people just don't have that sophistication or nuance when thinking about politics or even like power structures. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like we get caught in this 0 versus 1, red versus blue type thing. And, he was saying, well, had it been Kamala Harris won, like the Proud Boys, people would have torn up the whole country. Well, I don't know.
I don't think there are enough of them. I don't think there are enough of them for that. Like,
yeah. See, the thing people don't understand, I think the thing people don't understand is this. What just happened with Donald Trump, there are two major power structures in the United States. Called old money and new money. Old money are the ones that held black people in slavery for 240 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people that invested in white-collar law firms and businesses. That and the third. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, what just happened in the United States and what's going on right now is a sort of legal coup d'etat. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the way the U.S. Department of Defense and intelligence structure is organized, people tend to get confused because it seems like they contradict themselves a lot. And a lot of the reason why is like, if you look like the FBI, a lot of people don't understand that the FBI has two roles. The FBI is a domestic law enforcement agency, right? White-collar crime, this and the third. But the FBI is also connected to the intelligence services, so they do counterintelligence. So they catch spies, and they actively go out and hurt things and hurt people for the interest of corporate America. See, it's the CIA. It's easy to point the finger at the CIA and be like, oh, the CIA, helped Chiquita, the banana company, hire death squads and kill thousands of Latinos, whatever, to protect the company's interests.
That's easy to figure out because we know that's what the CIA does. The thing people don't understand is there's another CIA in the United States.
Mm.
And they're embedded in the FBI's building. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the tricky part. And so what happens is the military faction of white supremacy, right? There's the corporate side, Wall Street and industries. Then there's the military faction. The military faction is the intelligence agencies. Their job is to go around the world and hurt whoever they need to hurt. Venezuela, Cuba, wherever, Chile, Argentina, Africa, Mozambique, Congo. If it means them finding, helping the people track Mandela, whatever. Their job is to protect corporate America's interests, but it's also in-house as well. And so what happened recently is, what I believe anyway, is that there are some really smart, good people, even among the rich people in this country. There's few of them that are not like completely psychotic and insane. They have figured out, they came together, and they decided to wrest power from the old money people, because the old money people, they have lost the battle already. And in terms of like this whole country and where the country is going. Hello?
I'm here. I'm gonna give you like a minute. Let's just get, because the people in the people in the chat losing you. Me too a little bit.
So I'm gonna just summarize. I'm gonna summarize it quickly. So what's holding up the U.S. right now?
Okay.
Is the U.S. military primacy abroad? The U.S. military. But the problem is that primacy is gone. You get what I'm saying?
What privacy?
So, huh?
What privacy?
Hello?
What privacy? You said the privacy.
The privacy like prime.
Oh, primacy. I thought you said privacy. Okay, go ahead.
Privacy, exactly. So that U.S. military privacy is the only reason why all these other countries buy our treasury bonds, hold our treasury bonds, and allow us, they service our debt. You get what I'm saying? They hold our greenbacks in their reserves. That military primacy is the only reason they do that. Without them doing that, the economy of this country would have collapsed decades ago, because we're running things on fiat. The problem with that is these other countries have caught up. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, like China and different people. Oh, gotta go.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're saying so basically, no, I'm here. So you're basically saying new money versus old money. So what's your conclusion? Because I got like 10 callers in the queue.
Well, the conclusion is black folks have to. I think black folks are tied in with the new money, because those are the only people that are willing to reset America and give everybody a chance, especially because black folks got locked out on the past cycle.
Do you think Peter Thiel is going to give you a chance?
Do I think who?
Peter Thiel and the billionaires who are the technocracy.
Well, not everybody. Peter Thiel, not every. The thing is, everybody has their role to play, and Peter Thiel and even Elon Musk.
Even the devil has a role to play. That's the saying for those who don't know. Even the devil has a role to play. That's a saying too. But yeah, I'm gonna let you finish. 30 seconds, Carl.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, everybody has their role to play, and he's gonna get something too. Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, they're gonna get something too. But the main thing is that corridor of opportunity. Black folks need to take that opportunity, because with Elon Musk, he's a very complex guy. Yeah, he does the whole racism thing and the Nazism thing, but he doesn't like the people that are in power in the United States. He has literally gone to war with Bob Iger, who owns Disney, and the power structure. You get what I'm saying? And so the issue is, who is ready to believe in America? These people, old money, they don't care about America. They have another country in the Middle East.
I don't think any of them do though. Like I see, and this is my thing, and this is my thing. I don't think globalists care about America at all. Like I think all of them know that they can buy citizenship in any country, in a number of beautiful countries. So like all countries then are here to be plundered, and all people are here to be manipulated. I don't think there is any kind of affinity. So I'll give you 10 seconds to rebut that, and I'm going to the next call.
Sure. The issue with that is you can move your 10 billions to St. Kitts and Nevis if that's what a person wants to do. But the danger is once you move your money outside of this country, your money and your wealth is no longer under the protection of the U.S. military.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I agree with that. But you can go to, like, I don't think anybody is really expecting America to fall, right? And so I appreciate you, Carl. I'm gonna go to the next call, but I don't really think anybody's expecting America to fall. So I think a person can have money in a bunch of different places. So you can have enough money here that you do whatever, and you can have money over here, but you don't have to like. You're not at a point where you have to like be like, this is my country. People don't understand that, like, that's what Rockefeller had to deal with. That's what Carnegie had to deal with. That's a different world than that. But I'm gonna try to go to another caller really quick. 214. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, Yvette. This is Sharon calling from Texas. I'm really
Hey, Sharon.
trying to take in what the last caller said. I'm not gonna try to bite off all of that, but it kind of got me off what I really wanted to talk about. I really wanted to talk about what you were sharing in terms of how we're able to push a Democratic Party to not squash the next voices who really can be a movement for a transformative agenda for everybody, but especially for those of us that are advocating for ADOS. But I've been thinking about what it means in terms of moving out the Pelosi, the Clyburns, the Schumers, and actually looking at a book, an old book called The Mind of the South by W.D. Cash, and it talks about the way in which you've got a South that is absolutely determined to dominate. And they've been successful thus far. And I'm looking at how do we get all of these leading black Southern politicians that come out of South Carolina? And South Carolina absolutely is the state that we know from the Constitutional Congress. Made it possible to have the 3/5 compromise. And so we have these politicians that are led to senatorial seats on the Republican side, given very, very high leadership in the Democratic side. But they all come from South Carolina, and they all understand that mind of the South Carolinian is to dominate. So how do we eradicate that mind of the South that has driven, if you will, the democracy off into the ditch that we saw in this last election? And I think once we can get rid of that mindset, and we can actually get into a growth mindset, that we can actually see some changes. But I appreciate your reality check tonight. I have been protecting my peace. I've been watching sporadically. I've been keeping up, but I have not been going into deep dives into Trump's antics. But I think that you're absolutely right. That I've got lots of people that have worked for or retired from the federal government, and when that core constituency, if that core constituency of ADOS is removed, we're going to be in a world of hurt. So I don't want to see that happen. I'm not celebratory about that kind of activity. So I think that. If we can figure out how to push the Democrats to remove that old, stagnant, fixed mindset with the leadership that has driven that party and the country into this ditch, I think that we have a chance of finding some new transformative leadership that can help us. So
well, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's all I had to say. I'm sorry I couldn't really
No.
think through what the last caller was trying to say. I mean, it had merit, but I just had to go ahead and hold on to the point that I had based upon what
No,
you
you're
shared.
fine. You're fine. That's fine. I appreciate you. You have a good one. All right, I'm trying to get to some other call, but you have a good one. Thank you. Let me just say something. Let me just say something else too. I think there are a bunch of different monies. I don't think it's just old money, new money. I think there's a different factions of money because people are in different industries too, right? Then I think you have what people like to call the quote unquote deep state. I think money thrives also in stability. And there are the other people who are disruptors who are like, no, we just disrupt everything. And it's just like part of the reason you talk about why money comes to America is a stable country. And I think there are a lot of when you talk about money fighting, there are people inside of government and other money people who are like, you are destabilizing this country. And the part of the reason that money is okay staying here in America is because America is a stable country. And to the extent that you destabilize America, you become dangerous to other money aspects of America. And so, it's all interesting. I'm going now to 202. 202, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi. I've noticed that it seems that, I'm seeing people, who, for instance, work in government seem to be in panic mode because they have a threat of losing their jobs. People are losing contracts. People in universities, staffs at universities are losing some of their grants and funding. But I noticed that on some independent channels, they don't see. It seems like they followed a lead of, okay, we have to think critically about the Democratic Party. We have to somewhat leave the Democratic Party, which I think is absolutely deserved, but it doesn't seem like what they're seeing now is a win. What we're seeing now as a group of people is a win in terms of all the potential losses that we're facing. So, whereas DEI was taking care of pretty much everybody, except for us, except for our group, it just seems that now it looks like we're on the losing end, and whatever Trump brought, because people wanted to get away from the Democratic Party, it seems like whatever Trump was bringing, and people seem to be hopeful for, it seems like they're now losing. And I just wanted to get your perspective on that.
Well, I think my perspective is I didn't vote for either party candidate, but the quote unquote black vote went overwhelmingly for the Democratic Party. So I think we have to be careful not to cast the black vote, which is majority ADOS vote, as like the Latino vote. Like it didn't split that way. So even if even if you have that conversation, when you look at the numbers, like it wasn't ADOS voters that did it. So I just would be very careful having that conversation. My other thing is what I just said is like Trump has 2 years, like, and I don't think, in terms of, I think anything he does can be outdone. But let me just say this. This could actually be a win for Democrats if they knew how to do it. But one other thing that I see as kind of a silver lining, right? Part of the reason when I started talking about government, and I started probably when I was still with Boyce, like 2013 or something like that, 12, I started talking about government's impact on ADOS life, and why you needed government and so and so and so and so. And the reaction that I got from people was, we don't need it. We're going to do business. We're going to start businesses, and we're going to get the bag. And Yvette is on the plantation, right? And I have always been critical of Democrats, but like understand that kind of conversation. And you can go back, and I think the videos are still up, many of them. People are going to get, it's a clarifying moment, because if you don't understand what your life is made of, if you don't understand what bricks kind of built your life and paved your life and paved your way here, you're in for an awakening. And in some ways, I think the group of people who kept telling me that, like, I don't need X, Y, and Z, are going to have to be awakened and are going to be like ready for movement. It's almost like how you have to, there's some people that you can't just shake awake. There's some people that you have to throw a bucket of water on. And I wonder if that is going to be one of the silver linings here, because there was no telling people during the Jay-Z Diddy era, there was no telling people that, hey, these sorts of things are important. I remember even with the whole Byron Allen case, like I remember the Pimp Who Shall Not Be Named put up a whole thing and said like, we don't need blah, 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 courts, whatever. So I do think a lot of people got lost about what government means and what it is, what the capacity that it has. And I think, listen, it's going to be an interesting time. That's all I'll say about that.
Well, I mean, I think that, that we're definitely alert now and that we're not going to fall back asleep anytime soon. I'm not saying that we're fully alert, but I think that we're a whole lot more alert than had a Democrat gotten back in office. But I just wanted to know how you would respond to people, I guess, who are in panic mode for because like a memo went out that the people can now take this buyout.
Yeah, I talked about it. Yeah,
a government job, and they're in panic mode. So, what would you say to the people who are afraid of losing everything? Ideologically, we understand, why things are happening and what we need to do. But in terms of a practical matter, in terms of what people tangibly are going to lose or stand to lose, what would be your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction to that would be, the unions, the federal union just recently filed a lawsuit about a lot of the stuff that's going on. And I think everybody has a right to be afraid of losing their job right now, because I think there is a move to shrink government. And I would say now is the time to get involved with your union. A lot of people didn't even, I've worked government. Some people feel like they don't understand the reason for the union. Even outside of government, people don't understand the reason for the union. Well, hey, you're about to learn. And I think this is a good time to get to know your union and get to understand why you should be supportive of your union, because ain't nobody else except for them filing a lawsuit on your behalf. So some of the stuff that we just kind of lost, we don't talk about the fact that we had a whole labor movement in this country, and that has been kind of lost as well. And I think now is a good time to kind of get back to basics. But I think there is every reason, I wouldn't panic, but there's every reason to be afraid. There's every reason to have fear. Panic is just not beneficial. You have to turn that into something. And if you want to turn it into something, you should turn it into supporting the union that is filing a lawsuit on your behalf right now.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
No, appreciate you. Oh, let me put this. You have a good one, fam. There's no way to say if you're threatened with losing your job, you shouldn't be in panic. I'll be panicked too. You get that little stupid email, that little stupid Elon Musk. It's a fork in the road. You're the richest man in the world. A fork in the road. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Like, let me go to the next call real quick, and then we'll try to get out of here. Hopefully try to get out. 814. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind, fam?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good.
For all the work you've been doing. I'm Twist out of Philly. It's a good chance the post might be one of the posts that we see that people feel some kind of way about. One thing I will say about the people on this post and had so much negative stuff to say about Kamala and the people in the neighborhoods and stuff, us low voter, whatever, we hurt. We're in pain. And that's what a lot of the posts said. That's what a lot of the issues with Kamala was about. We have been educated, and we know why we're hurting. We're hurting, and we got our own people listening to Democratic politicians more than their brothers, their sisters, their family members, and their friends that's telling them that they're hurting. Those posts and what we said and what we've been saying about Kamala,
is not the reason why she lost.
No, Kamala lost
Our
because Kamala
education-
lost because of Kamala and the party. Like that's why she lost. It had nothing to do with us.
But we
Not
got
enough,
black
anyway.
people, the base of the Democratic Party, that want to blame us because we understand why she lost.
Mm-hmm.
But we understood why she was going to lose before. We didn't make those posts trying to or saying what we were saying about her or having the issues that we had about her because we thought that was going to make her lose. We knew she was going to lose. It didn't have nothing to do with us. We knew why she was going to lose, and we kept trying to tell people.
Mm-hmm.
So for all people that's upset about it, because I know some people too that's upset about it, we are not the reason why Kamala Harris lost. We tried to tell you why she was going to lose.
Yep. And we told you. I know I told them specifically on this show. I said this is exactly what Kamala needs to do to win. I said that. I've said that for a long time. And I've talked about the agenda that she needs to put forth to win, right? And we've talked about that. We've talked about talking and even speaking to the needs of ADOS. But Kamala made a calculation. Her team made a calculation. She paid mostly white folk. That was a problem too. Even some of the people that we don't like the Rowlands talked about that. We talked about how she didn't even come into our communities with like those firms, but we talked about what she needed to do, right, in order to get our vote, even with the short time span that she had. And like, it just didn't happen. And so like now they're turning back and say, well, we told you. No, it's the other way around. We told you. Like, we told you she's going to lose. Do you know how many Kamala voters told me before the election, you are insane. She is not going to lose to Donald Trump. I cannot wait till election day. She is not going to lose. And they really didn't believe it. They really thought that like she doesn't have to do anything for like, not even just ADOS. She didn't even have to do number poor folk. Because she was there's a calculation, I'm going to run and get Liz Cheney and all those people, and it's going to work out. And I'm going to use that to get Republicans because I already got everybody who was a Democrat and all the people and it just didn't work. And like, there's no way that doesn't blow back. But go on, Fam.
Let's be honest, let's be honest, Van. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
She was following the Democratic playbook. She didn't just come up with that stuff by herself.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And we got black people, the base of the Democratic Party, still looking at their brothers and sisters who knew it, who was telling them, and they still saying, we the fault.
That's true. That's true.
I got a problem with that. I got a problem with the fact that you are seeing rich politicians that don't care nothing about you, and your brothers and sisters and family members in the community is telling you what the problem is, and y'all not listening to us.
Well,
and if you want to have some solutions, we got an organization now. We need membership.
Well, and and let me just say this too.
If you want to know what to do,
we got. That's true.
And we need members.
You right. Say it, fam. We got organization. We need members. Say it, fam. And let me just say one other thing too.
Y'all been asking what the problem is.
They still ask.
Have an organization. We need members.
They still ask, fam. They still ask. Not enough. It's not. It's like it's not enough.
I love you, Yvette.
Love you back. I appreciate you, fam. And
I love you, Yvette. I gotta get off because I'm about to get real emotional.
I appreciate you, fam. I appreciate you. And listen, I want to help y'all. I want to help y'all understand one thing too. And I understand people are going to disagree politically. We've had people disagree politically on this call. I know some of the people who called in are Kamala supporters, and they're blaming people. They don't feel like enough Negroes came out to support. And I understand your point of view. I don't want you to think I'm throwing you no shade. I'm not. What I'm saying though is that whether you voted for Trump, whether you vote third party, whether you vote for Kamala, there is no reason for us to split up. And I'm gonna leave it at that in terms of the calls. I'm sorry. I know I got a bunch of calls. I'm sorry I couldn't get to y'all, fam. It's, I apologize. But what I'm saying is that there is no reason for us to condemn somebody, whether they voted for Trump, Kamala, or third party. Like, it's what I started off this show saying. We either are family or we ain't, right? There are people who went to Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner with, white folk, Latino folk, and they sat at the table, and somebody over here was a Trump voter, somebody over here was a Kamala supporter, and they still ate, and they still broke bread, and they still loved each other. We should not be breaking apart into a million pieces over an election. Now, I'm not saying we can't have the debate, and we should have specific conversations about what policy would you like. Stop talking to me about generalities, and I like Trump, or I like Kamala, she's a sister, or Trump, no, he gonna change. No, start talking. If there's one thing you can do, let's start having conversations with each other about, no, what do you really want to see? Like, stop saying, like, I like this person, or I like that person. Tell me what policies you want to see, right? Tell me your whole, tell me parts of your Black agenda. Tell me, we understand reparations, okay, but keep going, because we need that and a lot more. So I think one of the things that we have to talk about, and that's going to be regional. One of the things we've even talked about in chapters is how that's regionalized. The thing that you might need in Alabama might not be the same thing in California in terms of outcomes, right? So I think one thing that we can do is start having like specific kinds of conversations with each other about what we need. But I think this splintering in a million pieces is wrong. Like what the brother just said is like I understood why everybody did what they did this election. I do. I understand the even though I understand the Kamala voters, I understand the minority, small minority of Trump voters. I understand the third. I understand everything. And we still have to move forward together. We are not a majority. And ain't nobody, I'm not canceling any kind of holiday or gathering because somebody decided to go another way politically. And I don't think that you should either. We should decide where we stand together in terms of an agenda, and we should move accordingly. That's it. What do we believe in? Okay, we should agree on those things, and we should advocate for those things. And the politicians who is not going to give us those things, we should move. And I think the Democrats just have to change their position on immigration if they want us. Like, it just doesn't have to be. It shouldn't be like you just get this one thing from the Republicans, whatever. But I'll say again, like, that wasn't the majority of ADOS vote. You know, some of us decided to go a different direction because this party isn't serving. Like the gentleman just said, there's a lot of people in pain. There's a lot of stuff that needs to change in the party. And just like Trump came in there and became a transformative figure for the technocracy and for conservatives and stuff like that, we need a transformative figure in terms of if you want the Democratic Party wants us back, that's what we need. If the Democratic Party wants us back, we need transformative policy. All this accommodation and stuff is for the birds. If he can come in there doing all that stuff, then you can do it too. Stop telling us what you can't do and showing us what you can do. But I'm going to let y'all get out of here, fam, and go to bed. If you're on Patreon, I will see you tomorrow, patreon.com/ycarnell. If not, I will see you next week. All right? All right. Take care, fam.